was very interesting because I always saw my hair as a burden, because I remember like my cousins or like family members would try to do my hair and it was always hard to do. I always remember it was being so hard to do. It was difficult. It was hard to brush. It was hard to detangle. And, growing up, like I had a lot of hair. And so people were always be like, this is too much. And so I remember it being difficult, which also made me feel like I'm difficult, So I was internalizing a lot of things, and it was not okay. I was adopted at a very young age, and it has been the biggest blessing. My mom and I are absolutely twins. If you look at her and then you look at me, people are like, there's no way. And I'm like, no, it's God. That is literally God. My dad he's a genius. He's funny, brilliant. I am very blessed to have the parents that I have. But I will say that I struggled greatly with identity. I struggled with self-esteem, with self-love, and it impacted the way I saw myself and how I saw my hair. So a lot of the reason of why I'm so passionate today about natural hair, and it being more centered around showing up as your most authentic self, loving yourself as you are, is because I hated myself as a child. I self-destructed. And it's interesting because people never knew. I was always so good at hiding it, because as I was adopted, I did not want to be a burden. I did not want people to see me as a problem. And so I kept a lot of my pain to myself. I kept a lot of the issues I was going through to myself. One, because I didn't want to be a burden. Two, because I honestly did not know how to verbalize it. At such a young age, I felt this really deep pain, and I did not know how to verbalize it. But I do remember, my mom, she's the best human being. I honestly did not see her a lot growing up because she lived in a hospital. She was high risk OB. She delivered high risk babies, and she had her own practice. The woman is a warrior. She's brilliant. She's the reason why I love helping people today. But what comes with that is just you're not able to be as home as often. She was on call a lot. And so I was pretty much raised part by my mom and my nanny, Lelia, who is my entire heart. She and I still stay in touch today. She is an incredible soul. And I will tell you though, growing up in predominantly white spaces, growing up with people who did not look like me, it was hard for me to figure out who in the world Allie was. Like, I spent a lot of time staring in the mirror. I spent a lot of time pulling at my hair. So I always felt the need to overcompensate growing up. I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want to be a problem. So I really kept a lot of things inside. I genuinely always put other people before me, as a child and as an adult. I am 32 now. I turned 33 on Monday, so very soon, on the 17th, Aquarius. And it was not until I turned 30 that I fully feel like I have recovered from my people-pleasing ways. I still get anxious if I upset people to a certain degree. Not nearly as bad though. But at a young age, I was trying to figure out who am I? What am I? What is this? What is going on? My identity was surrounded by, I need to make sure that I don't upset people. I need to make sure that I'm the best person I could possibly be, because I don't want people to leave. And how that impacted my hair was very interesting, because I always saw my hair as a burden, because I remember like my cousins or like family members would try to do my hair and it was always hard to do. I always remember it was being so hard to do. It was difficult. It was hard to brush. It was hard to detangle. And, growing up, like I had a lot of hair. And so people were always be like, this is too much. And so I remember it being difficult, which also made me feel like I'm difficult, So I was internalizing a lot of things, and it was not okay at such a young age to feel that way. And I look back at it now, and I'm in therapy now, and we're talking about my childhood, and I'm sitting here like, wow, there were so many times that I had to just talk myself down because I was spiraling at such a young age, but I didn't know how to talk to anyone about it. I didn't really fully understand it either. So, and me growing up in predominantly white spaces, I wanted my hair to lay flat. I wanted my hair to lay down and to be straight and sleek. It was more because I internally struggled with self-esteem and I hated what I saw in the mirror. So I knew that I wanted to look like my counterparts. I wanted to look like people I saw on TV. People's opinions always mattered more than my own growing up. So I was doing everything I could based on what I was seeing and not really ever having a voice for myself. I figured if I had a voice for myself, it wasn't enough. And that's my adoption, right? So anything I was telling myself, I always felt like it wasn't enough. So as I got older, I started my relaxer journey. And I'm telling you right now, I went to JCPenney. Oh my God. I'm thinking about it now and I'm like, y'all, I was going to JCPenney and they had this salon in there and my mom would take me and drop me off and I'd be sitting in that chair, scalp burning, scalp on fire, and it left scabs. I vividly remember having scabs and I remember like going into like scratch my head and I would like scratch off a scab and the way that I would cringe like in pain. Like, and at that age, I told my mom, I was like, I just want my hair straight. And so that's when I started that relaxer journey and I started it pretty young. So, you know, I just was in a place of like, I just want to be pretty. I want to be wanted, you know, like at a young age, I was really struggling. I did not open my mouth to share my thoughts because I did not want to be a burden. I truly felt like if I were to talk about things, it would upset someone and then they would want to leave. So again, this is stemming from a place of in here. As I was relaxing my hair and straightening my hair, you know, that's when I started to really, really go deep with, okay, no one is ever going to see my curly hair because I remember days where people would laugh and be like, oh my God, your hair is so poofy. Because when I would straighten it and it would rain or the humidity happened, you know, people were like, oh my God, like it's like sticking up or like, it's so funny. Like they played with it or like, they'd be like, oh, it's all fluffy and poofy. And like, it was always a thing. And I was like, oh, like I just wanted my hair to lay down. Okay. Like why? And I would always go home and be like, why was I born like this? Like y'all, I'm getting emotional talking about it because I just haven't talked about it in depth like this. I've talked about it, but not really like talked about it. So I am kind of struggling because I just remembered that feeling and I felt it just now where I was looking in the mirror and I was like pulling and I was like, why was I born like this? Like I hated my hair. I hated my hair so much. And I was always beating myself up. I'd always go to the bathroom and look in the mirror and I'd be smoothing my hair down. I never felt okay. I never felt enough. Like it was exhausting. And I felt like this for years. Like I truly did. And so I held it together though. You would never know if I was struggling. I am someone that really internalizes things to a T. And I did that for such a long time until that's when I started bleaching my hair and relaxing my hair because that's when blonde caught my eye. Like all of my friends were dyeing their hair and I was like, well, I want to dye my hair. And I remember I bleached and relaxed my hair in the same week. And this was right before I left for college and my hair fell out down my back in clumps. I cannot tell you that feeling. Like I cannot tell you that feeling. And you could just hear the splatter of the hair on the bottom of the shower. And my heart was racing and I was screaming for my mom. And that's when I was like, I cannot put this stuff in my hair anymore. I cannot do this to my hair anymore. Like I terrified myself with it. So I was so scarred and I was like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? Because people cannot see me with curly hair. Like I was like anything but, right? Like anything but curly hair. So I ended up wearing straight wigs. And this was like right before I went to college. And this was like, I was wearing straight wigs for a while and I was also wearing sew-ins. It was a mixture of both until my hair grew back out. But I only felt safe and secure in straight hair wigs. Like that was it. That was it. I was like, period. Like you're not gonna tell me otherwise. You're never gonna catch me wearing like curls. Straight hair is where it's at. And I did that for about 2 years. And then I started just straightening my hair and got rid of the wigs because my hair ended up growing out long enough for me to feel comfortable. and it grew to like here on the top of my shoulder. So I just straightened my hair, and then I continued to break it off though, because it would go from here to here, and then it would grow back out a little bit, and then it would go back up because I kept straightening it, and heat damage, and my hair was thinning out. I eventually ended up deciding to wear half wigs that looked like my texture. And when that happened, I would only style the very front of my hair that was out, so I didn't feel so overwhelmed, and it actually worked really well for me. So I'm such an advocate, you know, I don't ever tell people anything about you shouldn't wear wigs. I don't know anyone's story. Do I want women to feel empowered and beautiful in their natural hair? 100% yes. Will I always help women feel that way? Yes. Will I continue to talk about it? Yes. Will I ever make someone feel bad and bully them over their decisions? No. The delivery is so important. So when you're talking to someone about hair, it's a very sacred thing. So to tell someone about their hair and you're being kind of rude about it, it's not going to be received as well as compared to just showing up as the example you wish to see more of, and as compared to being told in a nurturing way, right? Like, let's have a healthy conversation about it. But I saw myself in the half wig that matched my texture, and I was like, who is this? I literally was looking in the mirror and I was like, I have no idea who this is, but I'm gonna try to get used to her. So I wore the half wigs, and it was a little longer because I felt better about my hair at that time, because length at that time to me was also important. So I wore half wigs, curly half wigs, for a while. And I eventually saw myself so often with it that I was like, okay, I'm used to seeing myself now, and I don't hate it. It took me a while though. It was an adjustment. So after that, I ended up taking the half wigs off and learning to just style my hair as a whole on my own. That also took a lot of time, but it ended up working out really well because I did hop on YouTube University, which I know a lot of us have. And I learned how to take care of my hair. And I still was learning about my hair, but I was still insecure, but I spent more time with it until I finally learned to just love my hair in its most natural state, frizz and all, but it took a long time to get there. So it's a journey. It really is a journey. But my journey was centered around self-esteem problems and my adoption. And people gave me a hard time about my hair as I got older and was posting more on social media about it. That's when I started to get like some really sideways comments. And then when I went to work in corporate, I was receiving some sideways comments. My journey was centered around my adoption, how I saw myself, my self-love issues, my self-esteem issues. And I just didn't feel that I was enough. And I vividly remember that day as a child when people tried to do my hair and it was hard for them to do it. And I was like, yeah, because my hair sucks. Like, my hair's a burden too, huh? Like, I was so hard on myself at such a young age. It was awful. So I'm doing a lot of healing, but when people see me, they have no clue what my story is. So that's why I'm such like an advocate of, I never understand people bullying other people online about their hair, bullying people about their texture, tearing people down. People fill in the gaps with their own opinions and feel like it's true. And that's why I'm like, the natural hair community, that's another conversation to be had. And I will be having that conversation, but it is not a safe place. We are safe space over here. You can be vulnerable, you can be authentic, you could talk to me about anything when it comes to your hair, straight or not. This is a safe space for you. This is a safe space. And I wish I had this at a young age because I didn't. I didn't. And so I think that's why I'm so passionate is I'm looking at my younger self and I'm being the representation and I'm being that example for baby Allie. And so that's why I'm so passionate about my natural hair journey. That's why I'm so passionate about empowerment and showing up as your most authentic self, knowing that you and your natural hair are more than enough, that your texture is more than enough. The way you were born, the hair that is on your head, yeah, it was intentional. You were made beautifully. And I wish I had someone to tell me that and to remind me that when I was younger. So that's why I show up the way I do. And it makes me so happy. I always say if I'm helping at least one person, I'm doing my job. I just want people to know that they are valued. They matter. You matter. Your natural hair matters. I don't care the length, the texture. You matter. Your hair matters. You both are absolutely beautiful. Do not let anyone take that from you. When you see people share their stories or sharing their natural hair journeys online, always remember that everyone has a story. Be kind. Be kind. Anyway, with that being said, I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. And if you made it to the end, drop a heart. Let me know. I'm so thankful for you guys. So I'll be back soon, and I can't wait to see you in my next video.